Welcome to the SPI Supplies video resources. This video sequence will show you how to operate your OPC Osmium plasma coater, and it's applicable for both OPC 60 and OPC 80 models. This segment is specific to the Osmium coating function. Carbon coating with naphthalene is covered in the carbon coating video sequence. This startup procedure assumes that the Osmium reservoir is not currently attached to the system. First, turn on your vacuum pump, followed by powering on the OPC unit via the power switch on the front of the unit. Next, press the yellow Evacuate button. This will begin evacuating the main chamber. The time needed to evacuate the chamber may vary from a few minutes up to 10 minutes, depending upon the cleanliness of the chamber and the composition of any sample material in the chamber. The initial pump down at the start of the day tends to take a bit longer than subsequent cycles. Notice that the Evacuate button will blink at first, but as the system pumps down, the Evacuate button will change to a solid yellow. When the vacuum has reached approximately 0.4 Pascal, the system is now ready for operation. When not in use, the Osmium reservoir is typically stored in a laboratory refrigerator, sealed in a plastic bag. This helps reduce the reactivity of the osmium tetroxide. Before attaching the reservoir to the main unit, allow it to warm up to room temperature. Some customers that have a high sample throughput keep the reservoir attached to the main unit. In all cases, you should consult with your organization's safety and environmental personnel to determine the best way to store your osmium reservoir when not in use. Remove the reservoir from the plastic bag and attach it to the main unit by sliding it into the appropriate channel on the coater. Once attached, turn the knob on the top of the reservoir in a clockwise direction. Note the notch about halfway on the shaft. This is not used during installation, but is important when the reservoir is removed. Continue turning the knob until it is fully opened in the clockwise position. The knob should be turned tight to the base. However, be careful not to over-tighten the knob. Press the yellow Gas Evacuate button. It will light up. The valve to the reservoir is now open, and the air in the reservoir is now being pumped out. You will note that the vacuum will rise and then level off. Let the unit pump on the reservoir for about 5 to 10 seconds. Press the Gas Evacuate button a second time. This time the light will flash, which indicates that the osmium reservoir is now isolated. When the vacuum has recovered to the 0.4 Pascal range, the light will go out. This may take several minutes. The system is now ready to coat samples. Press the white Leak button to vent the main chamber. The button will flash while venting and light solid once the chamber is back up to atmospheric pressure. Once venting is complete, the main chamber can be opened. Remember to always wear gloves, such as SPI Supplies cotton gloves, when handling anything inside the chamber. This will ensure that the samples in chamber remain clean and free from oily residue from your bare fingers. For maximum efficiency in coating your specimens, the specimen height above the sample stage should be between 1 and 4 millimeters. To achieve this height with mounted specimens, the basic sample stage contains a number of metal plugs of various diameter sizes. Remove the appropriate size metal plug from the stage that coincides with the size of the SEM mount you are using. The specimen and its mount must be electrically isolated from the sample base. This can be done with PTFE lifts and tapes provided. Insert a PTFE lift into the bottom of the vacated well. Various lift diameters and thickness are provided with the instrument. Wrap the inside wall of the well with a piece of PTFE tape. Finally, insert the SEM stub into the well. Make sure to keep the mount away from the edges of the well. For flat samples, simply place a PTFE lift larger than the sample on the stage. It is not necessary to remove the metal plugs from the stage. Then place your sample directly onto the PTFE lift. For more information on tips and sample preparations for the Osmium coater, Please see the sample preparation segment. Make sure that the O-ring for the main chamber is clean and free of debris, and then close the lid to the chamber. Make sure that the switch selector is set for osmium coating. Set the desired thickness of the osmium coating by cycling up or down through the thickness control. The number selected will be the thickness of the applied osmium coating in nanometers. In this case, the number is set at 3 nanometers. The system is now ready to coat. Pressing the green Start button will now automatically cycle through the entire coating process. The green Start button will flash quickly, while the Evacuate button will also flash as the chamber comes under vacuum. The yellow Evacuate button will turn solid once vacuum in the main chamber occurs. The system will now evacuate to approximately 0.4 pascals. This can take from a few minutes to 10 minutes in time. Once the system has reached the appropriate vacuum, the coating will automatically commence. Osmium tetroxide will be released into the main chamber as indicated by the gas Evacuate button lighting solid. The green Start and yellow Evacuate buttons will now flash. A few moments later, a bluish glow discharge will occur. The discharge meter will typically read between 4 and 6 milliamps. You will note that the meter and glow discharge will cycle as sublimed osmium tetroxide is being released into the chamber and deposited as osmium metal onto the sample. The cycling will continue until the thickness indicated is achieved. Upon completion, the Evacuate button will go solid. The chamber will re-evacuate to the 0.4 pascal range. At this point, the coating cycle is complete and both the gas Evacuate and Start buttons will go off. Please note that while the system is re-evacuating, it cannot be vented. This is a safety interlock to prevent the accidental release of any osmium tetroxide. Once the vacuum has once again reached the 0.4 pascal range, the system can be vented and the samples retrieved. This can be done by pressing the Leak button. This will turn off the Evacuate button while the Leak button flashes. Once the Leak button goes solid, the chamber is up to atmospheric pressure and the chamber can be opened. Samples can now be removed and new samples added if additional coatings are to be run. When you are ready to shut the system down at the end of the day, close the chamber and evacuate the system as demonstrated previously. Once the vacuum has reached the 0.4 pascal range, rotate the knob on the osmium reservoir counterclockwise. Close the knob halfway or to the point where you see the notch appear. This will isolate the reservoir from the system. Press the gas Evacuate button. This will evacuate the short section of tubing connecting the reservoir to the main chamber. After a few seconds, press the gas Evacuate button a second time. It should now be flashing. When the gas Evacuate button stops flashing and the vacuum has once again reached the 0.4 pascal range, finish closing the knob on the osmium reservoir by rotating it counterclockwise until it stops. Do not over-tighten the knob. Once fully closed, the reservoir can be removed by simply sliding it straight up. The reservoir should be stored refrigerated in an airtight plastic bag. To shut the coater down, press the Evacuate button to halt the evacuation process. This will shut the yellow light off. Next, turn off the power switch. Finally, turn off the mechanical pump. The system should always be left under vacuum when not in use, in order to keep the chamber as clean as possible. This concludes the operation portion of the OPC Osmium Plasma Coater. We hope this video has provided useful information about our system. Please view our other videos regarding the setup and detailed information on changing ampules or sample preparation for the Osmium Plasma Coaters. Information can also be found on our other instruments, such as the SPI Plasma Prep 2 or the SPI Sputter Carbon Coater System. If you have any further questions or comments, please feel free to contact us.